Now that Mr. Governor Babajide Sanwoolu has dismissed the panel report as filled with spurious allegations and speculations, how disappointed are you?
I'm not disappointed. It's expected. Um, I mean, things that are highly predictable cannot be mysterious or cannot be shocking. Um, the panel was not expected to arrive at the conclusion it has arrived. It arrived at. The panel was an aberration. The panel was unprecedented. Government in Nigeria generally don't feel accountable to people, and so they do not practice transparency, and they feel they're above the law. The government or the state and the organs or agencies of the state to enable the government to carry out its work are supposed to fall in line. In this particular case, this particular panel did not fall in line, causing the government, whether state or national or federal, huge level of embarrassment because it was their own creation. So for Babajide Sanwoolu, it could not depart. I think I don't know where it was, your medium I predicted. I said it was only trying to bully. That is, federal government was trying to bully Lagos State, and they are in the same party. APC here, APC is there. They're likely to fall in line. And only this morning I read that federal government backs up Sanwoolu or Lagos State on the issue of the report. Quite predictable. I am not shocked. I'm not disappointed.
Let's look at some of the key highlights of the white paper, so to say. First, the findings of the Judicial Panel of Inquiry that 9 people died at the Lekki toll gate from gunshots fired by the military were based on assumptions and speculations. How dismissive is that?
Well, it's one is almost getting tired, reviewing the same position that is quite not tenable. Somebody starts somewhere because he's governor. So it's just talking. Based on what? Is based on what? These other people that said this happened, they listen to people. Testimonies were brought before them. Evidence were before them. They had the opportunity of comparing notes, not even just one person. But here Jide sat here, that's the governor, and say, oh, it's assumption, it's baseless. And at any rate, the white paper is coming from the governor's backyard. The head of the white paper, everybody that commissioned is government, particularly the attorney general. Attorney general is even a member of the Security Council of Lagos State. So it's a party. And what else do you want them to do? There's no basis for what he has said. These people have basis. I know by trying to even reduce the number to only one person, according to even by their own skilled thinking, if I can put it that way, that only one person, that's the Obafunwa person, that the Obafunwa identified person, as if evidence came only from Obafunwa. So when you cannot cover, people say somebody is trying to hide behind one finger. It's as good as an ostrich putting his head in the sand and thinking that you could not see it, people cannot see it. So the more you are twisting, you are turning, you become the more embarrassing.
Now, let me get your view on this. Some lawyers or legal luminaries, so to speak, has also spoken in support of the panel report itself. The white paper, saying that the panel actually created the inconsistencies and contradictions. Do you agree with that?
When you say luminary, when I hear luminary in Nigeria, I shake my head. But what's the basis? Where there's that contradiction, what's the basis in their white paper? What is it that white paper itself is self-contradictory?
They are saying that the panel report itself had actually created those inconsistencies and those contradictions, thereby leading the white paper, I mean, giving the recommendations as being, unreliable, and it cannot be accepted.
Yeah.
They cited, for example,
Okay.
that the only victim of gunshot injury from the Lekki toll gate was picked up at 7:43 p.m. on the 21st October 2020 after the curfew commenced. Furthermore, there was no shred of evidence regarding who shot him.
Okay. Okay. Now, if that's the white paper
Exactly.
that you are quoting,
That's what-
well, that is even, first of all, it's laughable. When you say the first body was picked up 7:43 after the curfew had commenced, that's I don't want to. That's 7:43 curfew had not started. The very first thing, curfew had not started. Curfew started 9. You remember that are you sure you are quoting the white paper? If it's the white paper, that's the white paper. It's 7:43. That's part of, you see, when I was saying something about hiding under a finger, you become ludicrous and embarrassing because you just be making fool of yourself. The Lagos State government is making fool of itself because he said the only body was picked at 7:43 when the curfew had started. When did the curfew start? He first fixed it at 4 p.m. and later shifted it to 9 p.m. From where did he get that evidence that that's the only body picked? I said that they could not say who shot him. Whereas you remember that the forensic expert engaged by this same lying Lagos State now, that same expert said in the records that he went through, medical records of victims of attack that he went through, some of them show that those kind of injuries they suffered could only come from military grade ammunitions. And so somebody is now saying that we don't even know who shot him. I only want whoever wrote this white paper. It's Jaundiced. That is the way I can put it. And then when you talk about contradiction, I noticed that one of the conditions accepted by the Lagos State government is a form of commemoration or memorials.
They get into that.
Okay.
In the
Say it,
recommendation
yeah.
made by the Judicial Panel, the Lekki toll panel made a memorial site
Yes.
for the ENDSARS.
Yes.
That was the recommendation of the panel.
Yes.
By renaming it to ENDSARS toll gate.
Yes.
The Lagos State government said it would rather designate a park in the state and name it Peace Park.
Yes.
That was what the white people said.
Yes. Yes. I'm making Peace Park in memory of what? Commemorating what? Do you commemorate the living? You only commemorate the dead. You understand? This is part of the contradictions. You see, somebody used a word yesterday. He was talking about schizophrenia. It's a kind of disease. You know, when you have a split personality, when you cannot actually accept reality. You know, when you are suffering for that kind of disease, it's actually a mental condition. We are living in a state of self-denial. Reality is staring you in the face like this. Here you begin to deny, you make outlandish statements, you take outlandish positions and postures. This is what is happening to the Lagos State government presently. So I do not know how they can get out of it. Let me put it this way. I don't know. As long as that government refuses to accept the truth of what happened and be saying that the truth cannot be known, it is. I've said it. A panel was set up. Out of 4 people affected who had conflicting situations, only 1 cared to come out. LCC, where this massacre took place, where this killing, call it whatever, tragedy took place, said we were not there. we are withdrawing our staff. The military who shot and interacted with the protesters refused to come. I'm talking of as eyewitnesses. They just brought somebody to come and be displaying PR expertise, which didn't work. Then the police too ran away. Now one side came, that's the ENDSARS people. They came and they gave cogent, credible, and persuasive evidence about what they saw, what they participated in. You are now saying the panel ought not to have believed them. The panel ought to have just discountenanced them. I don't think that is right, and I don't think that is proper.
Government, if the panel itself had actually told the line of the government, let's just look at it for a moment.
Yes, thank you so much. One can easily project. You see, one can easily project. Normally, when you set up a panel is set up to achieve a particular purpose for the appointer. So the appointer here has a political objective to nullify the issue of massacre and to demonize the protest. Incidentally, unfortunately for them, fortunately for Nigeria, this panel turned out to be unique, exceptional, but in their view, an aberration. So the panel say, we have done our work. There is a massacre. That's why you're having all these wahala from government. But assuming that panel did as projected for it, things that you see is that ENDSARS protesters will be hunted, will be thrown to jail, trial without trial. The cases of their so-called funders will be brought up. The case, then you have charges of treason, charges of arson, and you find brilliant, I don't want to mention names, brilliant comrade lawyers who will now say, you see, all the things that happened in Port Harcourt, the warehouse that was liberated in Yenogwa, all this one that happened, prisoner was set free in Jos. All those ones were triggered off by the ENDSARS activities in Lagos, and so therefore they are connected and going to be prosecuted for it. These are the kind of brilliant lawyers in court who prosecuted Kensariwiwa and ensured his death. That okay, it was because of the speech you are giving, the kind of rally you are doing, okay, that now, you know, kick-started the disturbances in Ogoniland, which led to the death of some people, and so you are responsible for it, fiam, and they were killed. That's what will have happened. And that is why this panel must be especially appreciated by Nigerians. They've saved a lot of innocent youths from jail, from unfair prosecution. You see, there are a lot of, to tell you how the Nigerian state work or does not work. In Lagos State alone, since last year, about 300 people are in detention over post-ENDSARS crisis disturbances. Have they been prosecuted? The answer is no. There is this case of Sheyi Ogunlana which I'm handling. If I tell you the honesty of this person, you know whether you want to laugh or you want to cry. Okay, so this person was one of the 300 people we are talking about. Sheyi Ogunlana is still in prison now. Even though it's been granted bail finally, we've gone to High Court twice, no bail. We did a petition against the legal advice of the DPP showing the loopholes why offenses like arson and rioting could not be sustained against him. The Minister of Justice agreed. That is the Office of Attorney General. So all those offences were removed, leaving only a charge of disobedience to lawful orders. That is disobedience to curfew. You, they said you shouldn't go out, you went out. Well, at most a month or something. It's misdemeanor. But I spent 30 months. So we now went to the magistrate court. My lady, you can hear him now. You now have jurisdiction. My lady agreed. Prison no agree. There was no van. When prison eventually agreed, and my lady granted him bail, and he trying to perfect the bail for 1 month at most. When you are convicted, you are going to stay 1 month to back 3 months. So you've spent 30 months. Remember, I put that at the back of your mind. Say, go and bring 2 shorty tax clearance. Before we could all do that, they have brought the man to the high court. When we were there to the high court, my lord, you cannot arrange this person. Judge agree with us because this is the new legal advice. You can't blame the judge. Judge look at prosecution. Prosecution says, oh, from the same office of DPP, we are not even aware. We'll go to investigate. A date was given, January 2022. Now,
And it's in
so at the prison, when we showed the reproduction and the release warrant by the magistrate, prison said, no, he has case at the high court. Prison, he has not been arraigned. It's not high court decided lecturing us. High court is superior than magistrate court. We have taken him to court. Whether he was arraigned, whether he was not arraigned, the important thing is that there's a case at the high court. This is the point we are. So I have to bring our application before the high court again to abridge the time, and now to show that there's nothing for my lord to try again, because the information preferred against this gentleman was based on a legal advice recommending trial for arson and riot. Can you imagine all this process? Boy detained October 21, 2020. This is November, and there's a bail which you cannot enjoy. This is, and you are talking of even a particular person who has the support of his family, who could run around, and the community could run around for him. Imagine going to high court for bail, for not treason, arson, not treason, arson. Not that bail was given and the conditions were hard. Bail was not even given at all by 2 high court judges. Arson and riot. So and it's a policy. Just dump them there. Just dump them there. And that is why I'm saying that I just pity the people they call elite in this country. And then their lawyer intellectual angle. One sakabakaba. One saka. I don't know how to do that in English. But when you oppress people to a level, they must rise. All your values of conservatism and establishment, elitism will be burnt, because it is only natural for a human being to seek for justice and freedom and liberty and equity with other people. You can't alone be enjoying, and we are suffering. You are using powers on us. You used it on us for more than 30, 40, 50 years. That's going to be a breaking point. Like I said before, I've said it before, I'm not begging the federal government, I'm not begging the state government to accept that recommendation. Sociology of life will accept that recommendation. It's only if you are a decent and intelligent and responsible leader who believes in Benthamism, the greatest happiness for the greatest good of the people. Your policies, your laws, your conduct must obey that philosophy, so that you are guided by that philosophy. So when you are doing things, you are able to look like Samuel of the Bible. You call the assembly of people who say, whoever have I cheated among you? Is there anybody that have taken what does to you? That is, in short, is there anybody that have used power on unfairly? That is the summary. That's accountability. But when you have state government, chairman of local government, local president, ministers, all those kind of people who are only interested in using power to their own benefit, who didn't see themselves as servant. Sanwoolu is not his excellency. He's the servant of the people. And people who say in Yoruba, Ijoba, they are talking rubbish. Government is not Ijoba. Government is Isilu. Service to the people. Service to the people. And I wonder why we Africans are like this. Where do you go to in the Western world? You call a governor his excellency, and the president, you call the president of America and the commander in chief. Nobody reverses such as Mr. President. Mr. President. That's all. Go to Canada, the same thing everywhere, Mr. President. But even ordinary chairman, look, they will say executive chairman of Igbawo, the ordinary councillor, say honorable, distinguished senator. What has made you to be distinguished? So, I'm saying that we are not begging them. No, there's no need to beg. Our people say when it is time to go to the toilet, the anus will open.
The Lagos state government had in the white paper also maintained that some recommendations that were contained in the report of the Judicial Panel that investigated the Lekki Toll Gate massacre was beyond its power, insisting that it was bereft of the powers to sanction security operatives indicted in that. What's your take on this as a legal practitioner?
No.
Does the state government not have the power to actually indict those security and actually met out their antecedent, precedent, judicial precedent?
No. The thing is this. Our type of fake federalism that we are practicing, which is really is actually unitarism, but called federalism, throws up a lot of difficulties like this. You see, in saying that it's outside of their powers to sanction, yes, they are right, because the control of these agencies is not state-based. It's located in the person or the office of the commander-in-chief. For example, the commander-in-chief appoints inspector general of police. And as well is the commander-in-chief of the army and all that kind of a thing. So, and he, as commander-in-chief, is also the president of the country, president of the Federation of Nigeria. Now, the point is this: where you don't have goodwill, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing wrong. Oh, these are our recommendations. Oh, are they saying that the panel should have sent the recommendation separately? The one for the state government, the one to the federal government? That's absurd. We'll send it to you. Where you have the goodwill, the state government will pass it over to the federal government and ensure at the best of their political will, where you have the political will to ensure that it is followed up and that justice is done. But you have a situation where these people are collaborators. These are collaborators against the citizens of Nigeria. So all the he's just knowing that. Is the governor just knowing that? Or he doesn't have an attorney general? So when he was composing the panel, he didn't know that. I mean, this gets even absurd by the day, and it's unfortunate.
But Mr. Femi Falano actually contended that state judicial panels actually have unquestionable powers to indict military and police officers. In fact, he argued that the military and police personnel indicted can actually be prosecuted. Let me quote his statement. He said that the military and police personnel indicted for murder and allied offences in Lagos are liable to be prosecuted by the Attorney General of Lagos, as the Attorney General of the Federation lacks the power to prosecute any person accused of committing state offences. Doesn't that?
It makes sense. It makes sense. But I've said something. I said when you lack goodwill. For example, it was, if you read the report, it was both an institutional indictment and individual indictment. Ordinarily, where government works as ought to work, all these are not supposed to even be an argument at all. Oh, did you kill? But for example, if military men killed, you'll find out that generally the police that will effect the arrest will not just go to their formation and begin to arrest people and all that kind of a thing. Of course, there will be a liaison between the commanding officer of that brigade or whatever and the police. And they will hand over. And they will hand over their indicted men to the police for prosecution. You understand? That's how it will work ordinarily. But like I say, when you don't have goodwill, these people are collaborators. Are you following me? These people, I'm talking of the so-called federal government and the so-called Lagos state government. They are collaborators. And as they are collaborators, we will now begin to say, oh, I cannot do something. First of all, somebody who doesn't agree to a massacre does not agree. And it's even the only one that says somebody died, we do not even know who killed. You can see. So this person is speaking two sides of his mouth. That even the one person we saw, we don't even know who or what killed him. So there's no babies. What your recommendations, I will pass it to the federal government. I've not rejected it. What he's saying is that I didn't reject it. But since these people are under the control of or they are organs of the federal government, I will refer you to the federal government. Who is deceiving who? The Femi Falana's argument is correct to the extent that murder is a state offense. Murder is a state offense. Treason may more or less be the national offense, but then it's also a state offense. Somebody wants to overthrow the governor of a state by force. It becomes a treason. The man is not interested in overthrowing the federal government, but he's overthrowing Lagos state government or Ogun state government. Of course, that one again becomes a state offense. But what you find out is that levels of government or governance in Nigeria, from the local government to the state government to the federal government in Nigeria, they are never sincere. And that's why this particular Okuobi panel should be celebrated. This panel is the problem of the Lagos state government and the federal government because it didn't allow them to walk to the answer. It was an aberration. You understand? Like I said, the governor that is now talking about federal and state, he didn't know that before setting up the panel and give them the terms of reference to conduct investigation that must necessarily touch the army and the police. It's a clever by half afterthought.